Hey y'all, I'm back with another video. I've been gone for so long and I missed making videos so much, but I'm back now. 2022, I have some things in store, so there will be a lot more uploads, a lot more content, and I'm really excited to be back. I had to take some time off to do the mother thing, but I gave birth to my beautiful baby in August, so I'm back now and let's get into it. Okay, so here we're starting our nail prep. I'm just pushing back her cuticles, getting the dead skin off her nail plate. If you want your nails to last 4+ weeks, you definitely need a good nail prep routine. So I'm just getting that dead skin up so that we can make sure her nails last. So my client today was actually going to Miami. She wanted something with pink, something light and cute. So that's what we did for her today. Alright guys, here's a tip. Make sure you cut your client's natural nail down. Cut it down as far as it can go. Just cut it down. It helps with putting your tips on. If your client's nails are grown out, some people's nails grow out wider than others, but it definitely will affect the way your tip sits on their nail and if it fits correctly. So cut your client's nails down. And another thing is that when you have translucent colors, especially if you're doing a French tip with a translucent nude or a translucent pink set, if you don't cut their nail down to a good size, or if you don't even get it close to their nail bed, you're going to be able to see it through the color. So you want to make sure you're cutting their nails, making it look neat and clean, but you'll be able to see it if you're doing a translucent set or like a French tip with a translucent nude. You'll be able to see their nail underneath that color, especially once you put the top coat, and it'll stand out. So you want to make their nails nice and neat, cut them down before you put your nail tip on. Okay, so this is where you're gonna see me going with my fine sanding drill bit. I don't use medium or coarse just because I don't want to do too much damage to my clients' nail beds. So fine works for me. It's never been a problem. So I use it and I go around the cuticle because it lifts the dead skin up that I'm gonna need to trim if I need to trim it. And then I'll go around the sides to get the dead skin around the side of the nail. And then I always go around the nail tip just to smooth out the nail tip and make it a little bit neater. So I do that with every client, going around their cuticle and the side walls of their nail, and then I clean up where I cut their nail tip at the bottom. Now, if I feel like I didn't get up enough of the cuticle or dead skin, I will go in with a cuticle bit around the cuticle again in the side walls of the nail just to get some more of that up before I trim it off with the cuticle nipper. I don't do this for every client, but if I feel like it's necessary, I will. Not every client needs it. Now, this is another thing I do not always do. It's on a need-to-need basis. I go in with my cuticle nippers and I'll cut any of the dead cuticle that was lifted up off the nail plate. I avoid cutting people's cuticles as much as I can because I don't think it's necessary. But sometimes you do need to cut the dead cuticle. Sometimes it's necessary, but not everybody needs it. Okay, so for this color, I ended up having to mix Cherry Blossom by Young Nails and Valentino Beauty Perfect Nude. I didn't want anything too pink, which Cherry Blossom is a really nice pinkish nude, but it has a lot of red in it, so it's pretty dark. And then I was going to use Perfect Nude, but it is kind of light, so I just needed a healthy mix, and it came out great. But this is my favorite part, the acrylic application. I'm going in with the 3 bead method to get a nice apex and a nice structure on her nail. Sometimes I do 2 beads. I don't usually do 1 bead unless I'm doing a short set, but you know, to each his own, whatever works for you, just as long as you're getting a good structure so that the nails last and they don't break.
If I wrote you a symphony just to say how much you mean to me, what would you do? If I told you you were beautiful, would you date me on the regular? Tell me, would you? Well, baby, I've been around the world, but I ain't seen myself another girl like you. This ring here represents my heart, but there's just one thing I need from you. Say I do, because I can see us holding hands, walking on the beach, our toes in the sand. I can see us on the countryside, sitting on the grassland side by side.
You know what? I think I lied before. I think this is my favorite part. I really love shaping the nails after the acrylic is on, because you get that final perfect shape. I think that is my favorite part. So I'm just going in with a rectangular file. I usually use the 100 grit side because that has an 80 grit side as well. I usually use that when I'm shaping the nails, just because 80 grit can be a little bit too rough in my opinion. So her shape came out perfect. We were doing a tapered square, not too coffin but not too wide either. Looks great.
Now if I wrote you a love note and made you smile at every word I wrote, what would you do? Would that make you?
Now this is something I don't see everybody do either, but I used to hand file before I went in with my e-file, but I find that using my sanding band drill bit gives me the same effect that I'm going for, just to like balance out the nails, make sure there is no lumps. I like to do that with a sanding band or a hand file first before I go in with a fine drill bit. So I'm just doing that here on all the nails. Nothing major. I'm not really looking to remove any of the acrylic or make anything super smooth. My application was really smooth. I just want to make sure everything is even. Now right here I'm just going in with a fine drill bit to flush her cuticles. You just want to make sure that they're nice and smooth and they're not too bulky or anything. You want to make sure that there's a smooth transition into the apex. You don't want a lot of bulk around the cuticle because that's what causes lifting as well. So you want to make sure you get a good application, a good nail prep, and then you want to make sure that your cuticle is really flush. So you want to get a nice fine drill bit and make sure you go around the cuticles. Not too much. You don't want to nip your client, but you do want to make sure that there's a nice transition from your cuticle area to your apex, and the cuticle definitely should not be bulky. Okay, so here's the fun part. So like I said, we were doing she was going on a trip to Miami, so we decided to go with pinks. I went with the pink French tip on 3 of her nails, And then I went with some swirly designs on her index finger and her ring finger. So right now you just see me doing her French tip. I go in with a liner brush, not too thin, but I cut some hairs out of the liner brush so that it's not too thick either. There is not even really a method to the way I do French tips anymore. I just do them so often. I just am kind of fast with it. This is sped up, but I just make my smile line and I continue moving on.
If I told you you were beautiful, would you date me on the regular? Tell me, would you? Well, baby,
And I did 2 coats of the pink to make it more pigmented, but I skipped that part. I just wanted to get into the line work, so we went in with a mint green, blue. Either way, it's like a minty color, and it was really cute. I thought it would go well with this set.
on the beach, our toes in the sand. I can see us on the countryside, sitting on the grassland side by side. You could be my baby.
I wanted to make the designs match for the most part on both nails. So I'm pretty much doing them in similar directions, kind of, with the same pattern, but not, exactly the same. Just kind of the same placement of where the lines are going to be on the nail. Like I said, this was a freestyle, so I was just kind of winging it with how I wanted the design and color scheme to go. I knew I wanted blue. I wanted to tie the pink from the French tip in, and then I wanted to add like one more color and some glitter, but I wasn't really sure until I actually got to that point. But here you see me just adding some pink in so that I can tie it in with the French tips and that everything will match. I didn't really have like a plan in mind for where I was putting the pink. I just kind of went with what was there already, but it ended up coming out really cute. So here I'm just adding a little bit of orange. Like, I didn't want to put too much, just a little bit. I took off that orange that I had placed like in front of the pink. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but you'll be able to see it more in the picture. I just added like a hint of orange next to some of the blue and pink lines, and I really am glad that I did that because it was like the perfect amount, not too much, not too little, but it definitely made it pop. And then I ended up going to grab a glitter, and this glitter was way cuter than I expected because it was really pigmented. It had like, I don't know how to explain. It wasn't your normal glitter color. It had like actual different size flakes of glitter, like almost like a glitter that you would get to use in an encapsulated set, but it was a polish, and I love it. I can't remember who it was by, but I'll link it below when I find out tomorrow. And now I'm just top coating the nails. This is another favorite part of mine. You get to see the final look. It's so pretty. I love this set so much. And another tip is just, this is sped up, but take your time when you're top coating and use like thin layers. Sometimes when you're top coating, you can warp the shape of your nail if there's too much gel, and it ends up drying outside of the shape of the nail once it gets in the light. So you just want to work in really thin layers and just make sure you're covering the whole nail. Wipe off the sides of your nail if you need to. And this is our final look.